Now in the kit, you get our fast-acting printhead cleaner. I'll show you how that works. All the inks. Now if you notice, I always make a little box to hold my ink when I'm doing refilling. I always put a paper towel down or cardboard or whatever. Now in this kit you're going to get the refill and storage clips. One for the color, one for the black. Our snap and vac prime tools. Awesome. I'm going to show you how that works in just a second. You're going to get everything you need. Now in the kit you're going to get syringes and sharp needles. The needles need to be sharp because they got to pierce the sponge in the cartridge. If you use a blunt needle, you would core the sponge and damage it. And now it says discard after use. Pay no attention to that. These are veterinarian syringes. All I want you to do is put the protective cover back on and store them. Don't wash them out. Don't do anything. I'm going to show you how that works. Okay, now I just printed on the machine, and as you can see, the cartridges are, the black is starting to come out very light. So I'm going to open it up. It's going to come over, and I'm going to take the black out. Now you can wear those rubber gloves that we're going to give you in case you don't want to get any ink on your hands. Now right there. Now below this label is a little fill hole. That's how HP filled them. Well, we're going to go right in that hole and we're going to fill them. But if I touch the cartridge printhead, which you don't want to touch the front here, if I hold it down, I get no ink coming out. So now I'm going to use just a little cleaner to wipe it, fill it, and then prime it. Now the reason why after you fill a cartridge they don't work, below here is called a cavity. I call it a cavity. The ink has to go into that. If there's air in there, no matter how much ink you put above it, it's not going to print. That's why when you're refilling it fails. Well, that's what the snap and vac tool does. It's going to remove that air and reprime the cartridge just like it came from the factory. So I'll get it all set up. We'll do the black, I'll prime it up, and then I'll show you the color. You can see there was a little black dot on that, and I rubbed my finger across it. I could feel there was a little hole below, and I used a toothpick to pierce it. So that's where I'm going to fill. Now this is on the 63. It may not be on the 62 or 61. So use your finger like this, and I usually rub there, and I can find out where that hole is. Or you could peel the sticker off if you want. Okay, now I'm going to put it in the refill clip. That comes with it. That's so when we're filling it, the ink's not dribbling out the bottom. Put it in, lock it like that. Right there. Now I can fill it. So I'll take the syringe, the larger one. This is for the black. It's always a little bit larger. And then I'm going to fill it up with the pigment black ink. That's a waterproof black. Same type of OEM quality that HP uses. And I went over the bottle and I pulled it up. And I pulled it up to about the 7 milliliter mark. It probably won't even take that much going in. So then we're going to go right in here. And I'm going to go down, not all the way to the bottom. Just going to go down, about 1/4 of an inch. You go a little lower if you want. Then I slowly fill it. Now what I'm waiting for is a little bit of the ink to bubble out there. Kind of like going to overfill it. Now this cartridge was really dry because I just used 6 milliliters, almost 7. So let me get some more ink. I'll go back in here again. Go slow. Sometimes I'll move it around in there. Get it in a different spot. I don't want to go too far down though. I don't want to go all the way. I don't want to bottom it because these syringes are really sharp. So you got to be careful. Keep them out of reach of children or any pets or anything. That's your responsibility. Oh, there it goes, a little bit too much. So I just backed off on the syringe. Okay, now I always have a little paper napkin handy, and I wipe it. Now, you don't have to cover that hole. Actually, I don't want you to cover it, because all these cartridges, there's little air vents here. Air has to go in for the cartridge to work. Now, here's the top. Now, what you don't want to do is try to go like this, because sometimes you miss, you could poke yourself. Now, a nurse taught me this. She said, lay it down, go in like that. See how safe that was? Now you can store it just like that. You can even leave the ink in it if you want to. Do not wash them out. Okay, now I'm going to take it off. Now there's some ink's going to be leaking all over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a little bit of cleaner, the pink cleaner on the paper towel, and I'm going to take it off, and I'll come over here and I'll dab it. So you see I'm starting to get some ink out. So that's how dry it was. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is put it in the snapping vac. Now that one's for color, the short wide one, and the long thin one is for black. So I'll put it in, snap it in. Make sure it's in there nice and tight. And I'll take the syringe. You get an extra large syringe in there, go through the bottom, and you can pull down. Now I noticed after I filled it up and put it in that clip, I had some black ink dripping, and I didn't know why. Well, there's the side of the cartridge is damaged right here. That's a brand new printer we just got. I ran the cartridge out of ink deliberately for the video, but I didn't notice that the side, and this came right out of the box like that, but I never noticed it. That's why I couldn't figure out why this cartridge ran out of black ink so quickly. Well, there's the reason. So I'm going to repair this and continue with the video. I want to point this out to you. Things like this happen when you're doing refilling, or I wasn't paying attention. I didn't even know it when I first put it in the printer. So things like that can happen. If you're having a problem, look at what's going on, and maybe you'll discover where the problem has been caused by. Now I've used a piece of aluminum tape to cover that damage on that cartridge. Hopefully I'll be able to use it. We'll find out in a minute. That seals it pretty good. You can't use Scotch tape or anything like that. It won't work. So now I'll be able to put it in that snap-it vac and prime it. Okay, now I'm going to put it in this, back in that snap-it vac. Get some of the... Now that I repaired that cartridge, put it in, it locks in, go up to the bottom, like this, and I just pull. There you go. Once I start to see a squirt of black ink, I know that's good. Okay. Now I can take it off, and I can blot it. What I want to see is some ink come out. There it is, coming out now. Now I can take a little bit of the cleaner and wipe it like that. I'm getting it real good now. Very good. I might pull a little bit more. Now if it's been dried up for a long time, you should soak it. Go in there and soak it. Use the little soaking tray that we give you, and just go in there and soak it. Soak it for about a half hour. There you go. Now, if I wanted to, I could store it, put it back in the fill or storage clip. Now I'll put it in and we'll see if we can get some black ink. Oh, it's coming out. printing fairly quick. There's the black. Now we'll do color in a minute here. And this is a cheap $49, $59 printer. So you can keep refilling these cartridges for a very long time. If you keep ink in them, they last a lot longer than if you keep letting them run completely empty. I suggest you have two sets. When one black looks like it's going light, put the other one in. When you get time, fill the other black one up. And then you'll just keep rotating the cartridges. That's the best way. And you can keep refilling for a very long time. Okay, now here's the color cartridge. I'm going to put it in a storage clip or the refill clip. There again, I'm going to use that little trick I taught you with the black. You take a toothpick, there's little holes right underneath that label. You can peel the label off if you want, but I just keep poking around till I find out where that hole is, and then I'll poke right in and it'll tell me what color. Now if you don't want to do that, like I said, you can peel this label carefully off. I'll use a little X-Acto knife, I'll show you. I get right on the edge of it. There you go. Slowly peel it, and I'll expose those holes. There you go. There. I'll stick it to the side. Now with the toothpick, I can go in, and that's going to be the magenta one right there. Go down in here, I always go to the bottom hole. That's going to be yellow. It's very, very light. Now, of course, this is going to be the cyan. There's no ink in these cartridges. There's a cyan. So you can mark it magenta, yellow, cyan, so you don't forget. Okay, there you go. Now I'll be able to fill it up. And then, again, I'm going to put it in the snap-in vac, but I'm going to switch out the black insert and put the color insert in. So this way I'll be able to purge the color just like I did the black. There you go. Now you're going to get a smaller syringe for the color, because the color even takes less than the black. They're going to be 3 milliliters. It says discard after use. Ignore that, you know that. Don't wash them out. And then when you're ready to use them again, you just put the cover back on. Like that. Okay, now I'll be ready to put the yellow in. I put it in the front. And I can put some into the back. Now normally it takes about 3 milliliters, but sometimes if they're really, really empty, and I always like to put a little bit more in, so then I can when I go to purge it, then I'll draw some of that excess ink out. There, it's come right to the top then. Back out, set it down, wipe it off. Put the protective cover on, because these are very sharp. And now you can store it, don't wash it out. Now there again, when you get the kit, you get all the instructions. Tells you what to do. Okay, now I'll do the other 2 colors and we'll put it in. Okay, now after I got done filling it, I'm going to take it off the clip. I've got some paper towel here and I put a little cleaner on it. I'm going to blot it. You should see all three colors. That looks very good. Very good. Sometimes if you put a little bit much, you'll get a little bleeding from one color or another. That's okay. Now I'm going to put it in that snap and vac. I'll get it in there. I'll pull down just till I see some ink. I stop. Take it off. That's going to prime it. Okay, now we can put it in. Now the first couple of copies coming out may not look that good because you just filled them, but that's normal. Close it up. Now this time I'll print in color. Let's see what the very first. Sometimes you have to do one or two cleanings. But boy, it sure does beat doing this than buying a cartridge. Any magenta there, so I'm a little flooded on that magenta. I noticed that putting it in. So I'm going to run just a couple of copies, see if it'll improve. If not, then I'm going to have to take it out and put it in that snap and vac again and draw some of that ink out. But I'm going to just run a few just to be sure. See what happens? It's flooded. I've got a little bit too much ink in there. So I got to put it back in that snap and vac and draw some of that out. When it gets flooded, it'll either print pure white or the color won't print at all because it's flooding that nozzle. See it is? It's actually the yellow that's causing the problem. So I'll put it back in the snap and vac and draw out some of that ink. Snap and vac. Now when I press it down, it looks like black ink. That's because I've cross-contaminated the colors. But that's okay, it's going to clear up. Now I want to do this in video just to show you because I get so many emails. I filled it, it didn't work. And you know, everybody wants to make a perfect video and say, oh, look at this, how simple it is. Well, it is simple, but you got to know a few things when you're doing this. See, it's getting better. It's just that I deliberately overfilled it a lot. So in the video I could show this because you can see the ink is running all over. So just put a little bit at a time and check it. On an empty cartridge you shouldn't have to put any more than, in a color chamber, no more than 2 milliliters. You really shouldn't. Now I did 3, 4, and it's way too much. I just flooded it. So I'm going to put some more cleaner on it and then I'm going to put it back in. And let's see what we get now. It's the magenta. It actually was the yellow. Now sometimes you can flood it so much you won't get anything. You'll get a blank white sheet. So it's like you're out of ink. But in this video, I just want to point this stuff out. Things like this happen. And then you get frustrated and oh, it didn't work and all that. It does work. I've done it for 20 years. Just that you got to pay attention to what's going on. Now look at that. Perfect red. So when somebody has a video and says everything is perfect, you know, it's so simple and easy. It is easy, but you got to have the right ink, the right tools, and a little bit of instructions. Look at that. See? Now there I would have gave up, thought I ruined the cartridge, and discarded it. That's why in my videos I'll always show you what can happen, along with how nice it can print if you fill it correctly. So now this applies to the HP 63, 61, and 62 cartridges.